The majestic 12K Vera Silvia Peak in northern New Mexico ended up being one of my hardest uphill hikes ever. I wanted to get a very early start because of a long drive and a very difficult mountain, so I left my house with my dog Daisy Monday 2:20 a.m., September 20th, 2010, to head to northern New Mexico to hike the 12,594-foot elevation mountain Vera Silvia Peak. It's located in the Latir Wilderness in the Sangre de Cristo Range within the Carson National Forest. I took one of my 4 personal days off work to do this before the high elevation snow set in. 9 days before hiking Vera Silvia Peak, I left the house at 3:30 a.m. with my son Garrett to do the 2 big Costilla peaks in northern New Mexico. But after hiking for a while, we came a no trespassing for any reason sign. We changed plans and headed to Vera Silvia Peaks. After a number of attempts in my Toyota Land Cruiser, we headed to the little town of El Rito, north of Cuesta on Highway 522. In the little town, we headed east on El Rito Road, then north. Our map showed a trail on Forest Service land that ascended very close to the top of the mountain. The 4-wheel drive road was very difficult and would scratch the paint off anyone with a new vehicle, but mine was made for this. We kept driving until the road matched up with the trail, but no trail. After leaving Big Costilla at 7:15, it was now 11 a.m. The trail showed it followed Jaracito Canyon. It may have been a great trail 50 years ago, but it does not exist now. Hard as we tried, we only caught a glimmer of the old trail. We would have needed an archaeologist going along with it to find it. It was very difficult hiking, many fallen logs. We hiked a half hour and making little progress, and started so late we calculated we'd be coming back in the dark. We decided to turn around and head back to the SUV. I was disappointed. This was the first time it did not work to hike a 12 or 13K peak. As we were driving away, I marked the spot on my GPS that looked like a good area to burn it up to the top of the mountain. We drove to a stream and Garrett panned for gold, only getting a few flecks. I wanted to go back sometime in the near future. That future was 9 days later. I arrived at the spot at 5:25 a.m. The elevation was 8,550 feet. It was going to be with an elevation gain of 4,044 feet straight up. I started hiking through the open area. I have come back in the darkness on some hikes, but I never started in pitch black darkness. The dawn did not show for the next 45 minutes. The area that looked open from a distance was not. It was very thick, higher than your head scrub oak. It was much harder than 9 days before. Because of the thickness of the oak, my flashlight only showed a short way. It was so thick I had to carry the dog and her little pack. Sometimes I had to carry her above my head. I was moaning like a baby. The thing that kept me going was that I did not want to have to go back through the same stuff again, and I had a determination to make it. I was getting cuts and scratches as I hiked. It was so thick at times I could barely move through it. I spent one of the hardest uphill hours I've ever hiked. The darkness multiplied the difficulties. After 45 minutes, twilight first showed. It helped some. I kept heading away from the scrub oaks towards the pine trees, and finally I was free. Don't go either of the 2 ways we tried. From the pines, it was a hard burn up the mountain with lots of logs and small loose rocks. After gaining 2,000 feet in elevation, all of a sudden I felt strong as a bull ox and stormed to the top. It was 9:25 a.m. It took 4 hours of non-stop hiking. I hiked about 3 miles straight up. It was cold at the top, and I put on my down jacket. The views were dramatic. The beautiful green alpine grasses of the summer had turned brown. Storm clouds were in the area. Looking in the distance at the lower elevation, you could see beautiful aspen trees in all their splendid fall colors. I took pictures and stayed around for only about 15 minutes and headed back. My goal was to avoid the scrub oak trees. The first 2,000 feet went very well. The last 2,000 is much harder with logs to go over and loose rocks. Every time I saw a scrub oak, I headed to the north. I went so far to the north that I ended up coming down the same way through the Lost Trail that my son Garrett and I hiked 9 days early. Finally, I reached the tight, rough tree branch road and hiked south to the Land Cruiser. I was so happy that I did not have to go down through the oaks again. I got back at 12:35 p.m. after hiking 7 miles in about 7 hours. I would never recommend anyone going the way I did. You need a tough four-wheel drive that you don't mind getting scratched up. Do not go the way of the non-existent trail. It shows up on the maps, but it does not exist. Do not go through the oaks. The best way to go up is between the old trail and the oaks to the south, but plan on 4 hours of non-stop burning it up the hill.